Whether you plan to do PVM, PvP, be a skiller or killer this league, or even go for rank 1, the regions you pick will make or break your progress. So this is the best combination of regions that you can pick for every style of play. But first, as always, is an item hidden within the video worth at least 10 million GP, and the first person to find it and timestamp it with their username gets it. You got 3 regions to choose from in Leagues 2, and so far that looks like it's going to be the same in Leagues 4. But those choices are on top of everyone having Misthalin and Karamja unlocked. Understanding the starter areas is huge when deciding what other regions to pick, so this is all the information about the starter regions. They also include Fossil Island and a way to train a ton of skills already that you don't need to pick other areas for. We have access to Xanaris as the quest is auto unlocked from the start, and a lot of random places that aren't part of any other region, like the Abyssal Sire. We start with 3 Herblore, 10 Agility and 5 Runecrafting. You have access to all trees up to you, including Mahogany and Teak for your construction, as well as a great woodcutting training spot on Fossil Island at high level. So straight away you have everything you need for 99 woodcutting, fire making, fletching and construction, as there's also a sawmill here too. There's low level mining spots in a few different places, plus ores all the way up to Ruin on Fossil Island, and a furnace in Edgeville, so 99 smithing and mining is covered too. There's low level fishing plus drift net fishing underwater on Fossil Island, but since you have to get all the materials and create the drift net yourself, it may not be that efficient unless it's one of the tasks that we've got to do anyway. But if not, it at least covers you for fishing to at least level 50 or 60. There's a number of farming patches in the starter area and a tree patch in Lumbee as well as one in Varric, so as long as you can get enough tree seeds, 99 farming passively should be in the bag. Hunter training isn't that great, but at level 80 there are herbivores on Fossil Island and birdhouse runs, plus you can trap at level 41 on Karamja. There's also a chance that this area gives you access to the Soul Wars area, as it's not officially part of any other region, according to the maps. You access it in Edgeville or the Wilderness, but it's closer to Kandarin, so I'm not entirely sure what this will be classed as. If we do have access to it though, there are low level hunter creatures plus great chins at mid level, so getting to 80 for those herbivores doesn't seem that bad. So the only thing that we're really missing and we need to look to other regions for, since there's a lot of general quests that requires 99 or 25 million in every single skill, is combat skills and gear, Slayer and Prayer plus crafting, agility and thieving, which have some okay low level training, but you wouldn't want to do all of those all the way up to level 99. So based on that information, this is all the regions that you're probably going to want to pick, depending on how you want to play leagues. If you're a skiller, there's one region that is a given, and that is Core End. It's massive, has everything you need to train every single skill, plus unique content like Wintertodt, the Farming Guild, Woodcutting Guild, Aerial Fishing, Blast Mine, and Stealing Artifacts. The next primarily skilled focused area may surprise you, but last time it was the desert. In most regions, the elite and master tasks were over 80% combat based, but in the desert it was only around half, with things like collecting squirk juices, pyramid plunder, and the mage training arena. This time we'll have the Tombs of Amaska, but it's also got Temperos, so should have even more skilling tasks as well. Now I know a lot of skillers will choose Kandarin, and if you love that area, by all means go for it. But it is in many ways a smaller version of Core End and doesn't offer you anything too different to it. If most of the tasks were cut a magic tree or do a lap of the RD rooftop course, it would make a lot of sense, since you're going to have 99 in most skills from Core End. But last time that wasn't the case. In fact, 2,000 laps of the Apertol agility course at 20 times the XP rate was another 23 million agility XP, and most of the tasks were combat based. The final region that I would choose is Fremennik, because it offers you 2 things that no others do. Miscellany will give you a ton of supplies passively, and the Lunar Spellbook gives you so many useful spells as an Iron Man. Plank make, humidify, string jewellery, superglass make, tan leather, it's all just extremely useful. These 2 things will give you so much more choice when choosing relics, so you're not forced to choose things like the Endless Harvest one or Production Master. If you love PvP and just want to play for a little bit of fun, your first pick of course is going to be the Wilderness, but after that it's not quite as straightforward as you might think. The Wilderness has everything that you're going to need for a basic setup: Rune Crossbow from the Crazy Ark, melee gear from the Revenant, you can make your bolts in Misthalin, and get that Black D'hide body from the Deranged Archaeologist or from Clue Scrolls. The Major Arena Bank sells runes, you can get Avars from Draenor, and the Wilderness bosses drop the best PvP weapons. The biggest problem in the Wilderness, since we're all Iron Men, is that you don't get any loot for kills, and you're going to have to be pretty self-sufficient. Last time we could choose to make melee, range or magic twice as fast as usual rounded up. So a 4-tick weapon became a 2-tick weapon, but since it's rounded up, a 5-tick weapon became a 3-tick one. That's just massive for PvP, so I personally make my choices based on the combat style that you're going to choose from here on out. We also usually get some accuracy boosts too, so strength, magic damage and range damage bonuses become more important than accuracy. So for melee, Ascania gives you access to Bandos, Torva, as well as the AGS and Void, and Kandarin gives you access to Piety. For range, you're going to want to unlock Koren for the Dex Scroll and probably Ascania for armor and the Zarite crossbow. Although a 1-tick accurate blowpipe would own, and the range damage bonus from Missouri is also worth considering for the final area pick. The second region for magic would have to be the desert for ancients, and then I would pick Koren for the arcane prayer scroll and ancestrals. However, this part of the announcement for leagues makes me believe we may have access to Virtus, which suddenly makes it more of a difficult choice. If like we did in Leagues 3 we can unlock quests with points, you'll be able to kill Leviathan in the starter region. If that is the case, you may decide to go for the occult instead, or even a big spec weapon from the Nightmare and unlock Mauritania. PvP is definitely the area that has the most diversity in what to choose alongside the wilderness. PVM though is the complete opposite, and you'll almost certainly be choosing Koren for the most Slayer creatures, the Chambers of Xeric, Dragon Warhammer Drop, Alchemical Hydra, Brutal Black Dragons, Sarachnis, Vodorvis, the Mimic, Hespori, Skatizo, because it all gives you access to some of the best gear that you can get and 2 prayer scrolls. For the end level PVMers out there, the natural choice is Mauritania with the Barrows Nightmare, Theatre of Blood, plus the desert with the Tombs of Amaska. But if you prefer an area that's a little bit more chill, but still PVM heavy, Ascania has a ton of content and gear in God War's Dungeon, the Giant Mole and Cerberus, and 90% of the wilderness tasks are usually PVM, with a ton of bosses and the Revenants. Plus PKs generally don't play leagues for very long, so they aren't a huge problem if that's not your thing. The points are going to change slightly this year, as are the relics, but you can't really change that much in a region that has the exact same content. The most efficient way to get points last time, and what will probably be the best way this time, is using the following theories. There's always far more tasks available than any player can complete. Smaller areas have less diversity in tasks, so doing one boss or one skill will normally award you points in multiple tasks. Finally, areas where the tasks also level you are far more efficient than tasks that don't, or tasks that over-level you far more than you need for the general tasks. So based on all of that, I think the following 3 regions will be the most efficient. First one is Fremnik, which I gave a complete bashing in the last video, but it is exceptional for points. 11 of the 17 elite tasks last time were all completed just from killing the same 2 bosses over and over again. Which is what I mean about doing one thing in leagues and getting multiple points for different tasks. It is a terrible area in many ways, but that's kind of what makes it very good for points. There's so few things to do here, the tasks have to be based around the same content, or there just wouldn't be enough to do. We then have Terranwin, which is almost identical, but drops a ton of supplies too, as well as Crystal Tool Seeds. Those areas are going to be great points for the time that it takes, but it does leave a couple of issues picking the final area. The Varric Agility course is level 30 and the Prifddinas one is level 75. And up to 20 times the XP rate, it shouldn't be that bad though. It's also very similar for Thieving too, after guards at level 40. We don't have a good prayer training method, so we're going to need to use a relic if there isn't one in this last area. And we only have the Xanaris and Edgeville Slayer Masters. Those first 2 areas are heavily combat focused, so whilst all areas have combat, another would be inefficient as we'd be over 25 million in all combat skills. And lastly, we don't have access to a good mage weapon. There isn't a perfect region to pick third, so these are the choices. You could go Mauritania, get all of the gear that you need and more, a prayer training and agility method. It's another small area where tasks are repeated, but it's almost all combat again. You can argue that as a positive though, since you can go into there with 99 in combat skills already, but those general tasks are worth a ton of points, so you're going to have to train up your skills no matter what. Then there's the desert that gives you the best magic staff in the game, a way to train agility and thieving, plus many tasks that also level you up like Tempros, Pyramid Plunder and the Mage Train Arena. No prayer training or Slayer Master though, and we don't know how tough the TOA tasks are going to be yet. You could choose Core End, which gives you everything that you're missing, but at the expense of the largest area in the entire game and probably the most difficult for efficient points. Still, by going for all of the tasks in the other 2 regions means you wouldn't have that much time to do many things in the last region anyway, and this will become more of a resource and utility area. Or you could pick the Wilderness. It has a Slayer Master, a way to train prayer and agility. It's another combat heavy area, but with huge supply drops for skills like construction, crafting, fletching, smithing and herb lore. The real downside with this one though is the lack of a top PVM staff outside of the Wilderness when you've just picked 3 combat regions. Hopefully that's given you a few ideas for each build, where you can add in your own game knowledge and make it even better. Or let me know if you have a completely OP strategy that's better than the ones I've suggested.